Hey there, welcome to Rise and Receive. This is a reset point in your day where you get to stop whatever you're doing and take a little time to explore how to receive fulfillment in your life by unlearning struggle. So today we are on part 3 of a 3-part series on self-worth and confidence, 3 keys to surpass your limits. And we are also wrapping up the entire mini-series training that I've been doing, 4 different topics. We've done one on fulfilling relationships, we've done one on wellness and beauty, we've done one on work and money, and today we're wrapping it up with the self-worth and confidence, all 3 keys to surpassing your limits. So if you are here continuing on after part 1 and part 2, I invite you to reconnect or connect with what area of your life do you feel limited in experiencing self-worth and confidence and feeling comfortable in your own skin, high self-esteem, and wherever it is that you feel limited, I invite you to just kind of sit back and let this training wash over you so that you can keep opening up to receiving what is available to you beyond your upper limits. If you don't know me, my name is Sonia Miller. I'm a speaker, coach, and best-selling author, and I mentor ambitious, goal-oriented people to surpass their limits with ease, speed, and beyond what you've imagined possible. And the way that I love to do this is I illuminate blind spots, because in my world and everything that I teach, and also what is the theme for this entire series of mini trainings, the theme is your consciousness creates your reality. And your consciousness, whether you're aware of it or not, is where your true power lies. Most of us look for a sense of power by getting control over things in our physical world as well as things in our inner world. But as long as you're operating from control, you will hit your upper limit. Now, the blind spots that I illuminate are the difference between what I call human doingness versus human beingness. And ambitious, goal-oriented people tend to over-rely on their doing skills. What that means is we operate much like the hunter, who uses a lot of mental energy and physical energy, planning, strategizing, examining, figuring things out to conquer some sort of a problem or catch the prize. And those are great skills if you're in project manager mode or a task after like a concrete physical world outcome. But if you keep going after certain goals and dreams and you're not able to go beyond a certain point, in other words, you're hitting an upper limit, many times what I've discovered for ambitious, goal-oriented people, it's because they are missing a very specific skill. And ambitious, goal-oriented people tend to have a very specific set of blind spots that are unique to kind of that mindset, that when you can't see what you need to see, that's the cause of your upper limit. And it comes from over-relying on doing, but being malnourished or absent in your being skills. Now, you are a human being, but there are skills involved with being. There's the power of being. There's ways of harnessing the energy, the consciousness of being that actually allows you to surpass your limits, to go beyond where you've been stuck. And because you are a human being, and it's the most natural thing in the world, when you tap into this skill, you activate ease, speed, and beyond, because it's incredibly simple. However, if you've been absent or malnourished in that skill set, then it is unfamiliar. And when you don't have what you need and you hit the upper limit, what do we do as ambitious, goal-oriented people? We work even harder. And what happens is that keeps you trapped on the hard work treadmill, and it keeps you away from what you really want. In other words, the path to your happily ever after. And yes, you can receive and experience that path to happily ever after, but a big part of it is understanding what happily ever after is and is not. I did another video on that, and I've been teaching about that recently. So when you really understand what happily ever after is and how it connects to the power of being, then you can experience permanent and lasting fulfillment beyond the places that you felt limited. So That's a bit about me. And today we're going to go into the blind spot that addresses what I call the beyond factor. So training number 1 was about greater ease when it comes to your self-worth and confidence. Training number 2 was greater speed with experiencing that. And today we're going to talk about how to experience greater self-worth and confidence beyond what you've imagined possible. And we're going to talk about it through a particular blind spot. So this blind spot today is what I call the hunter blind spot. Now, when you're an ambitious, goal-oriented person and you're approaching your goals and dreams through the human doing lens, and you're operating as a hunter, you are going to pursue your goals and dreams as something you want to go out and get. I'm going to go out and get something that's going to allow me to experience greater self-worth and confidence. So there's two things. You're either going to go get it, which is target oriented, or you're going to conquer it. You're going to kill or overcome the thing that you think is in the way of your self-worth and confidence issues. Now, that doesn't work for a whole bunch of different reasons. I've talked a lot about that in the first 2 trainings. So what we want to do then is we want to shift from getting to receiving. Receiving is the primary skill in human beingness. You actually learn how to receive everything that is waiting for you, everything that you've been working hard for, everything that life is offering. But there's a difference between getting and receiving. Getting is finite. Getting is, I've gotten it and I'm done and it's over. And that isn't what fulfillment is about. Fulfillment is something that you open up to and flows through you and you experience over and over and over for the rest of your life, if you are open to flow. So receiving and fulfillment and self-worth and confidence is about flow, because after all, your self-worth and confidence is a feeling. You don't capture a feeling, you get it, and you're done with it forever. You also don't conquer a feeling that is uncomfortable and you're done with it forever. Fear comes and goes. Fulfillment comes and goes. Joy passes through, ease passes through, challenge passes through, struggle passes through. When we start to learn how to be open and receptive to flow, then we start to change our relationship to life, and we can allow life to be the provider rather than when we're in hunter mode, we rely on ourselves to be the provider. Okay, so let's talk about how to actually open up to flow. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint about happily ever after. Okay, happily ever after is a myth. And it's something that we've bought into, whether we're conscious of it or not. It's just part of, especially in our culture, this kind of mental activity. So the mind wants to solve problems and have it be done with forever. And when we look at happily ever after, we think, if I can just solve this problem, then I'm going to be happy forever and I'll never feel bad. And that's how we approach self-worth and confidence. We think, if I can just get to the root of this thing that makes me feel bad about myself or not, just really struggle with confidence, if I can just figure this out, then I'll feel good about myself forever and I'll never feel bad. And that's just not the way it is. Doesn't matter what dream you're pursuing. Happily ever after comes from fairy tales. And so there's this idea that we meet our Prince Charming and they lived happily ever after. Well, even if it's the best person, the best relationship, that's not life. Life happens. Somebody gets a backache, or the kids get into trouble, or you get laid off, and it's not happy. It's a challenge, right? So what happens is we keep chasing something that doesn't exist, and then we feel bad about it because we're always in wanting and seeking and lacking and hunting, because that's the lens through which we're looking at life. When you shift to receive mode, then the truth of happily ever after is revealed. And happily ever after is not a destination. It's a way of being back to human being. It's a path that we walk. I could point you to the path and you could arrive at the trailhead and I'd say, there's your path to happily ever after. Just because you arrived doesn't mean you're going to be happy ever after. To be happily ever after, you have to walk the path. And on the path, life always offers kindness, But in order for you to receive it and experience it, you have to walk the path. It's a way of being. So is receiving. It's a way of being. It's a way of being open and receptive to what life offers. But that means you have to put down the fighting tools and the hunting tools and the runaway tools and be open. So I'm going to offer you my alternative phrase to happily ever after. It is ever open to good fortune. And they lived ever open to good fortune. Because what that does is it gives you permission to let life be challenging sometimes. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And when you learn how to have a relationship with pain, a relationship with discomfort, and instead of battling it or protecting yourself from it, which actually gives it more life and energy and keeps you stuck in it, upper limit, you learn how to receive it, how to nurture it, how to let it move on through. And when it moves on through, there's new spaciousness, and you can receive the next thing that life offers and the next thing that life offers. And life always offers kindness. Is life kind all the time? No. But does it always offer kindness? Yes. If you're open and receptive, if you're willing to walk the path. So that's what I wanted to kind of give you as a framework and a context for what we're going to talk about today. So instead of being in getting mode, I'm going to get self-worth and I'm going to get over this thing that's in the way of my confidence. What we do is we shift to having a relationship with our feelings, with our thoughts, with whatever life gives us. And as I talked about on training number 1, I think it was, the things you manifest in life are a reflection of your relationship with you. A lot of people misunderstand manifestation tools, and they think that, well, I'm going to manifest whatever I think about. I'm going to manifest, and if I can just control my thoughts and say my affirmations, I'm going to manifest that. No, that's a big distortion about the principles. It's like just a tiny piece of it, and then there's a lot of depth and richness and some complexity under it when you really understand what's happening in consciousness. Because your consciousness creates your reality, and your consciousness is the sum total of everything happening in your inner world. Okay, that's being a human being. Your thoughts, your feelings, your expectations, your conditioning, your memories, the sensations in your body. When you understand that terrain, at least as well as you understand the terrain in the outer world that we develop as human doings, as ambitious, goal-oriented people, then you start to tap into a power that's always been available to you, but perhaps you didn't know how to access it because you were over-relying on doing. So we have a relationship with everything that happens in our inner world. We also have a relationship to what happens in the outer world. And as you do that, you put your attention on you, your perceptions, your feelings, your experiences. You start to practice awareness with the mind instead of examination and research and problem solving, which is what the human doing does. Okay, that is where you start to really surpass your upper limits. And so what we're going to talk about today is the 3-step receive method that I've developed and that I've been using in my own life, that my clients have been using now for several years, that have been producing consistent results. Because I'll tell you, I came upon receiving because life gave it to me. I was not looking for it. You can call it by accident, but I don't know. Life gave it to me. And the first time that I started experimenting with these things, my clients were seeing all kinds of incredible results. Things were coming in with ease, speed, and beyond what they could imagine. And I thought, wow, this is incredible. Then I did a retreat and it happened again. And I thought, is this a fluke or are we really onto something here? And it turned out to not be a fluke. I did a receive course. I taught the 10 powers of being, and the results just keep revealing themselves. So it's gone very deep and it's gotten really, really clear. And that's where I come to you today, is what this receive method is about, is based in proven results and consistent practice on a couple main ideas. So the 3-step receive method is this: ALI. A stands for awareness, L stands for let it be here, and I stands for invitation, invite more or better. And it really is a way of taking what the majestic tree embodies as this glorious receiver that does nothing, hunts nothing, examines nothing, yet receives from life all day everything it needs, much of what it wants, if it wants anything at all. And its impact and influence in the world is felt and experienced, and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't go look for clients or people who are going to market what it has to offer. It just stands. It just stays. It receives the birds and the winds and the people and whatever, and its seeds are spread across the lands, and it impacts and influences, and it just keeps expanding in power and presence. So the 3-step receive method is really a translation of what the tree is doing into how do we tap into this as human beings. Okay, so the first thing that we do is in awareness, because awareness is the key to everything, is we become aware of when we are in hunting mode, and we simply stop. Oh, I'm struggling with self-worth and confidence. I'm finding myself trying to solve this problem or figure out what I need to do to become more confident. And usually it's about changing all kinds of things about ourselves or the conditions in our lives. We try to fix ourselves. We see ourselves and our self-worth and confidence issues as a problem. We're problem-oriented, and we're trying to find a solution. Okay? When we do that, you're in hunter mode. So the first thing you do is you just stop. Awareness. I'm aware that I'm in hunter mode. So you just stop. And then that's the first step in beginning to, instead of seeking an answer, to start receiving everything that is right here, right now, everything that life is giving you in your inner world awareness and your outer world awareness. So let's say you're having a bout of low self-worth and confidence because, let's say you applied for a job interview and it didn't go the way you thought. You just didn't walk away feeling really good about that. And then you start analyzing, what should I do? You just go off down this rabbit hole, okay? And you start trying to figure things out and talk yourself out of how you're feeling bad about yourself and give yourself a pep talk. You're trying to fix yourself and fix the situation. You stop. Instead, you start to become aware of everything that's happening for you right now. I'm aware that I just had a job interview. I'm aware that I don't feel really good about it. I'm aware that I'm kind of stressed out because I need to find a job. I'm aware that, I stumbled over my words. And you can start using, I'll give you some prompts, okay? Start with what you want. I'm aware that I want to find the perfect job for me. And I want this to be easy and effortless. And I want it to be a really good match. Don't want. And I'm aware that I don't want it to be like the last job, and I'm aware I don't want to struggle, and I'm aware I don't want to keep going on interviews because I hate them, and I'm aware that I'm constantly feeling anxious about it, and I'm aware that I'm constantly second guessing myself. So you're going to start to basically do a brain dump of everything that you're thinking and honoring everything that you're feeling as best you can. You can do this in writing. You can do this when you're walking. But what you're doing is something that's literally a 180 from what we usually do in doing mode. Usually we have all of these experiences, and what do hunters do? We either fight, flee, fight, flight, freeze, become paralyzed, right? Or fawn, which is to negotiate, right? So as soon as you do that, the space that you are, because the tree represents a space in which it receives life. You are receiving life in this moment. You're receiving thoughts and feelings. You're receiving experiences. And what we do when we're in hunter mode is this space in which we receive is filled up with problem solving, fight and wrestling and protecting and defending and avoiding and hiding. This space is full and you can't receive anything else. So we just stop the problem solving. We stop the fight. We stop the struggle. We stop the defending. We just become aware. And as we become aware, then this space starts to empty out, empty out, empty out, empty out. Once you're done, either in writing or in consciousness, if you go for a walk and you just kind of say it to yourself under your breath, which I've done. I go on walks and I'm like, I'm aware of this and I'm aware of this and I'm aware of this. There'll come a point that you're done. There's nothing left. And then you can just breathe and move on to L. Let this all be here. That's a great affirmation. I let this all be here. I let this all be as it is. And take some breaths. And now as you breathe, you're going from your head to your body. You're filling up the space that is you. You're getting to occupy the space that is you. Believe it or not, that right there is an act of self-worth. I get to be here. My feelings matter. My needs matter. My wants matter. My preferences matter. My limits matter. I matter. Everything about me is good and valued, innate self-worth, rather than transactional self-worth, which is what happens when you think you can only feel good because there's been a transaction. You've earned it. This is you receiving all of you simply because you exist right here, right now. You just stopped, took some time out for you, and just let it all be here. You gave it permission to simply be and exist. This is you valuing you simply because you exist for no reason at all. Right here, right now. Not when I perform, then I'll be valued. Right here, right now. All of this is you having a relationship with you that is representing reasonless receiving. You are receiving from yourself simply because you exist. If you go back to the earlier 2 trainings, I talked about how you manifest an expression of your relationship with you. That's what you're able to receive from life. So when you stop and receive all of you, all that you're experiencing, you're aware of it, you let it be here, that's a relationship of unconditional love. It all gets to be here. You breathe, you let it be here, and you're going to feel at least a little bit of lightness, because all of that pressure and expectation of fixing yourself and changing yourself softens. That spaciousness, that lightness is now you becoming receptive to something new, something other than the problem solving, something other than those difficult feelings. So you can say, I let this all be here, and breathe and breathe and breathe. And then finally, invitation. The tree is an eternal invitation. Okay, it's just constantly open and receptive. Its colors, its beauty, its fragrance, its fruit, its presence, even in the winter, is an invitation. Okay, so in human being mode, invitation is willingness or an open question with your attention on what you want. So you can simply say something like, what else is possible now? Just open and receptive. What else is possible now is much more inviting and much more irresistible than like, oh, I got to fix myself. I shouldn't have this and I shouldn't have that, and worry and problem solve. Do you see how different that is? You can also say, okay, how does it get even better than this? Life, show me the way. You can also use willingness mantras, which I'm a big fan of, affirmations. Willingness is very powerful because it gives you the opportunity to put your attention on what you want without getting swept up into problem solving mode. I am willing to believe that I can receive the ideal job in expected and unexpected ways. I am willing to believe that I can feel good about myself, that I am worthy of having what I want, even when I feel like I've screwed up. Willingness on what you need to hear to feel soothed, to feel comforted. A good way to come up with a willingness mantra is think about what you don't want, and then think about the opposite and create an affirmation about that, and just be willing and just keep saying it over and over again. That is an invitation, and that is a way of being open and receptive to things beyond what you could have ever imagined. Because here's the thing, beyond comes from being open to life and letting life be the provider. We become limited when we think we have to figure it out all ourselves and make it happen all ourselves. We are literally bound to what we're capable of on our own. But when you open up to life, life always offers kindness. And this is when, you start to hear about these results that I always like to share, and you can learn more about it on my website. People start to have amazing results very, very quickly, ease, speed, and beyond, because they've just opened up and learned how to receive. So that's ALI, and that's how you can start to work with self-worth and confidence, by shifting from fixing yourself to nurturing yourself, from getting what you think you need or conquering what you think you need to conquer, to receiving everything, all about yourself unconditionally, because that relationship then gets reflected in what you can receive and experience from life. ALI. So if nothing else, after everything I said, because I know it could be a lot to digest if these are new ideas, I'm going to give you an affirmation that you can take into your life. And every time you are feeling low in the self-worth and confidence arena, just stop and notice, take a breath. And this card is about your innate value instead of transactional value. Receive your value. And the affirmation is this. Just say it as often as you like. I am willing to believe that my needs and wants are good and valuable. I am willing to believe that my needs and wants, and you can add, and my feelings and my limits and my preferences are all good. They're all valued. They're naturally worthy. Just be willing. Life will deliver. Okay. This card, if you are new to me, comes from the Receive Oracle card deck that is now on Amazon. You can go get your own deck, which has 56 affirmations, all willingness affirmations. And some other next step resources. If you like this, if you want to keep learning more about receiving, join the Receive community. It's here on Facebook. I'll include links. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just click the red button and I'll notify you each time that I release videos. Also, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a hiatus from Rise and Receive, and I'll be back December 20th. I'm receiving all kinds of wonderful happenings in my life, so I'm taking a little time for that. I'm moving to a new home with a new office. I am celebrating my birthday. I'm going to take a little bit of a vacation, and I'm also getting things ready for a brand new year. So some things that you can look for is I just completed a brand new New Year's workshop called Surpass Your Limits in 2022. It was really awesome, and I've decided to do an encore presentation on the 28th, so you can look for links for that. And I'm going to be launching the live training for the Receive Experience, which is an 11-week program where you get to practice how to receive the 10 powers of being. I'll be coaching that live, and then you have lots of support available. I'll include links so you can learn all about that. But this is where this all came from. Really, really powerful. You really can receive your joyful fulfillment by unlearning struggle. That just means that you get to tap into a skill set that might be unfamiliar and let go of the over-reliance on doing and thinking. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. I will see you when I get back from my vacation, back from the hiatus. Like and share if you found this helpful, and I'll see you at the next Rise and Receive. Bye, everybody.